We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2. Cue the music, Pete. Okay, Pete. Yes, welcome to Creator Town Hall here on Studio Live tonight. My name is Pete, and apparently I can't say the word today. On today's show, however, we'll be asking the big question of what decade or decades had the best music. I'll be telling you a little bit about my studio revamp or devamp. Maybe we'll be talking about Macs, we'll be talking about gear and what is the sweet spot for the best gear for your home recording. Talking a little bit about live streaming, going behind the curtain here, and consistency on YouTube. If you're creating, how important is it? What do you think? All of that, as well as our midpoint motivation and our hidden gems at the end. And hidden gems is going to be our MIDI gem special. So we'll be talking about all things MIDI, and I'll give you 5 different YouTube resources that talk about MIDI in one way or another. So strap in, tune in, and let's get started, shall we? Hello to the folks who are here live. I see Joe, Glenn there. I see Mark. I see Adam. Sound like, what is that, Romper Room? I see SM Borthwick. I see Joe Glenn. I see Thomas Christ. I see James Kimball. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you are all doing well. Now, before we get started, there is a poll question. I'm trying out, if you're here on YouTube, apologies if you're on Twitch or Facebook, maybe jump over to the YouTube stream. Just go to studiolivetoday.com and follow the links to go to YouTube, or just search Studio Live Today on YouTube and you'll find us here. But we've asked a poll question, and it is this: what is the best decade for music? Now, I've had to cheat. We only got 4 slots. So I had to semi-cheat by putting the 60s and 70s together, then the 80s, the 90s, and then the noughties and 10s. So it's kind of like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then modern music. What produces the best music? And, you know, it's probably going to be a bit of a question of what era you're from, which will probably tell us what music that you're actually into. But answer the poll, and then we'll swing back around to that. And if you're watching on the replay, the poll will be over. But do comment. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you think in terms of that. All right, let's dive in here. I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of setup here because... and in fact, it's related, so we'll jump in here. Look, I didn't even have that on the screen, so you didn't know what you were watching. Everyone was like, I don't know what this is. Who is this guy? What am I watching? So what I'm going to talk about first here on the show today is the studio revamp, or what I'm calling a devamp. And I talked about it briefly on some other shows as well, but the thing is, here's the basic thing. I live in a 3-bedroom house, and I like the area that we live in. So yes, while we are semi-actively looking to see if we can get a bigger space, because we're a family of 4, 5 if you count the dog, we're not in a hurry to move. We're still in the middle of a global P word with the C word. So it's not exactly opportune time. The housing market is also ridiculous here in Australia. What's it like in your part of the world? But it's super expensive, which is great, meaning we could sell this place for more, but it means we have to spend more. And if you've ever moved house, you know the changeover cost is a fixed cost. So if you're spending more overall, and then the gap between what you sell and what you buy for is increased exponentially, or not exponentially, but proportionally, then it's going to cost you more to move. So I say all that to say that, we've reconvened. This room's always been a multi-purpose room. Along this wall is my studio. You've seen it in other videos. I've showed it. So I've got printers and music gear and internet gear in that corner. I have my computer and stuff here. I have guitars and things over there. And then behind is storage and his other things. And it used to be where the treadmill was over there. And there used to be clothes baskets and things being put away there. That's all had to move slightly because, there's a big honking bed behind me now. So I've gone back to like my college days. We've gone back to having the bedroom studio. But the reason that I think it's cool, the reason I think it's actually better, is that I don't ever want to get to the point where I've got like this $1 million studio and I'm sitting here with all of this pristine gear trying to preach to you about how you should use a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 to record your guitars and your vocals, or a Steinberg UI22. Let's be honest, that's what I'd say. So I actually like the fact that I can be in this space and that I'm creating with limitations. I actually adore limitations. That's why I use GarageBand. People are like, P, why do you use GarageBand on your phone? Why do you edit using LumaFusion on an iPhone when you've got a Mac sitting there now? You could get Final Cut Pro and you could be cutting up like a pro. Well, the main reason is that I like limitations. I like working within confines and managing my time and doing things. And it's that old adage that the work will expand to fill the time you have available anyway. So when I had this room all to myself and back in the before time, the long ago, when my wife would go to the office, the kids would go to school, and I had 6-7 hours to just sit here and do whatever I needed to do, was I getting more done? No. Was I getting the same amount? Sometimes. Was I getting less done a lot of the time because I just faff about and go play PlayStation and go pat the dog and go outside and like I would just find things. It's amazing that no matter what your job is, even if it's a job you love, you'll find ways to procrastinate. When you've got limited time and limited space, I think you actually get more done. That's my 2 cents, and I'm going to stick with it. Let's see, if you do, by the way, if you do have any questions and you are here on the show, if you put the word question in front, we are interactive here, so we'll have some time for some Q&A later in the show. So please put question in front of your question and then throw it here in the chat and I'll be happy to answer it on the replay. No worries. You can check out you can add a comment. I'm down in there in the comments. I actually answer every comment. People think I'm insane because videos that I released 4 years ago, I still answer every single comment, at least the very first comment. I don't do the back and forth stuff because it's too hard to keep up with, but I answer every comment. So please do leave a comment. I will get back to you. Who else have I missed? A whole bunch of people have jumped on in. We've had Adam Gehring, we've had Barry Glenn in here. Patrick Chandler is in the house. I hope you're doing well. One of the Chandler brothers there. Joe's already answered 60s and 70s. And James says, you know, it was the 60s. Of course, I'm old as dog dust. Dog dust. There you go. There's an interesting one for you. Best music is now, and it comes from the Create, Record, Release group. Love you, Mark, 100%. And thank you to Mark, by the way. Mark has recently become my very latest patron over at patreon.com/PeteJohns. If you want to join the fun, if you go to patreon.com/PeteJohns, if you're not already a patron of the channel, then you can do that. And here I am. I need to update these graphics. Those are looking a bit old. We'll get a refresh going on here soon, but there you go. You can jump in there, and for as little as $1 per month, you can support the channel here, and you can help keep the lights on here at Studio Live Today's studio, just like our man Mark has chosen to do. So thank you to Mark, and thank you to everyone for being patrons. Hello to Brian. I hope you are doing well. Hey, it's Pete Johns. I love. Jay just did a video on Core Gadget, and it's got the beep boop 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 metronome. What is it with that beep boop 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 metronome, and why can't I stand it? I don't know. I like something like that. Adam says that California has ridiculous housing prices. Yeah, I can only imagine. Not a buyer's market now. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Greg voted 90, the 90s, and it was 0%. Well, there you go. You're giving it a kick along for the 90s. The poll is stuck open and I can't see the chat. Oh, you should be able to just close the chat or maybe vote in the poll and it should go away. Hello, Truth Hurts. It does. Sometimes the truth hurts. Thank you for being here. Friggsy saying, yeah, the housing market is really tough. We bought our first house in 2000. Was expensive then. I know. I was watching something the other day and they were saying, well, it might have been John Oliver. Yeah, he was talking about loans and things. I love me some John Oliver. And he was talking about, he's like, oh, what's this thing about buying a house? He's like, oh, what's that? You don't know what owning a home is? Well, for people that were born after the year 1990, owning a home is like renting, but you don't pay a landlord and you actually own it. It was weird, but you know, it's true, unfortunately. You just got the kids to like, yeah, go check out the replay of Jade's stream. You will be very happy you did. Who's got mics? You got to have a voice. 2020s are nice enough. Yeah, the AT 2020 is very nice. We'll talk about mics in a minute. Actually, we'll talk about some gear related stuff as long as I just get down here. Is that a black bed with black sheets behind you? It's a dark grey bed with dark grey sheets. So it is pretty metal. It's metal adjacent, Tom. So it's metal adjacent. Yeah, that was the one thing. Luckily, my wife's tastes are similar to mine, which is plain and clean. If we had some, floral throw pillows and pink vomit patterns there, probably not going to be cool. Thank you, Thomas. Yes, Thomas is one of our wonderful patrons as well, and also one of the moderators of the channel. So thank you for his yeah. I like that metronome. I can hear it over the music. And hey, you do you. Each to your own. That's what I say. L Higgy drums. Hope you're doing well over there. Higgy, thanks for being here. Surya, good friend, missed you a lot. Missed you too. I miss you all. I miss you when I'm not here live. And Anila, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Appreciate it there. Bay Area, yeah, I can imagine the Bay Area would just be off the charts. All right, I think we've said g'day to everyone here. I just need a quick cough. And let's crack on, shall we, to our next topic. So I just got to find out what it is. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this one here, and I haven't got the reason you hear me typing just before each topic is normally I have these set up beforehand. I don't for today's show. I was a little disorganized. Oh, that's right. I was going to tell you that. The reason I was disorganized is that I was on the treadmill before I came into the show. So for a couple of reasons, mostly that we're still in lockdown here in South Australia. So we've got 2 more days of lockdown, which means I can only get out of the house for up to 90 minutes at a time. And I know that sounds like a lot, but for me, I usually walk for 3 to 4 hours a day. So the reason I'm a mobile creator and I love my iPhone is I'll walk around when I'm answering comments, when I'm editing videos, when I'm posting on social media. It is usually from my iPhone, and I'm usually out walking about. I'm very safe with it. I stick to paths. I walk through parks a lot, as many folks know. If you've spoken to me while I'm out walking, you'll hear the birds in the background. So, but I like to just be out and about. I like to be out in nature. And I can't do that as much, so I had to get up and get on the treadmill. And given that this show starts at 6:30 my time, it was it was a 5:30 start on the treadmill. What was my point on that? I don't know. Oh yeah, I'm disorganized for the show. I wanted to talk about this because someone hit me up this week, and they will remain nameless, but many people have sent me similar emails in the past, and they're almost apologetic in the way they approach this, where they say, "Oh, Pete, yeah, I love the channel. I love the videos. I love using GarageBand, or I love learning how to create and record and release music. But I'm just not feeling it, or I've just decided that it's not the right approach for me. I want to learn more of the theory side first. I'm not comfortable releasing what I'm putting out there at the moment." And I realized that over time that I think either I've been too assertive with the whole create, record, release thing, saying you have to release your music, get your music out there, or perhaps it's been misinterpreted. But I wanted to say that your musical journey is 100% your own. And my philosophy over the last couple of years has been very much around you do you. It's why I really hate when people make definitive statements about things. Because unless it has, in my opinion or in my experience, in front of it, it's usually not the right thing to say. There's very few things around other people that you can factually say. If I said right now, Thomas Christ is really into the punk scene, that's a definitive statement. But if I said, oh, in my experience, Thomas Christ is actually pretty into industrial music, that's more appropriate. And I know that's a weird sort of example, but it's the same sort of thing with making definitive statements about other people. If I say everyone needs to mix on monitor speakers, no one can mix on headphones, that's not the right statement to make. The better statement is, in my experience, having studio monitors really helps with the mixing process. You can mix on headphones, and if you want to try and mix on headphones, you do you. But I've personally found that having a pair of monitor speakers as well as a pair of good headphones really helps out with your end product. That's a better statement to make. So that's sort of part one. And part two is, yeah, it's not going to be the same for everyone. The reason that I don't ever say you need to do this, or people need to use GarageBand, or anyone who doesn't have this particular piece of gear is bad, or whatever, is that I don't believe in that. I believe that you need to work out what your musical journey is. You need to work out your workflow when it comes to creating music, and you need to work out your comfort level in terms of how much you want to interact. For instance, I know there are people watching this right now that are right here in the live chat that are continuously chatting with other people that love the community aspect of this. There's other people that are sitting there live, and I know you're there because I look at the analytics, that don't contribute in the chat, but they're here live, they're listening to this right now, and they're going, yeah, say it, Pete. And I know there's other people that are not interested in the live shows whatsoever. They may catch a little bit on the replay, so hello to you, hey, replay watcher, or they may just want to watch just the 5 and 10 minute tutorial videos. They don't want any of this getting up on the soapbox and talking about things. Hey, Fly. So you do you is the bottom line, and whatever your musical journey is or needs to be, embrace it. But more than that, it'll change over time too. So don't just settle in and go, okay, this is me and this is how it's going to be forever. You are going to change and adapt and grow and revolve over time. That's my 2 cents there. Thomas Christ is after also releasing your music doesn't have to mean sending it to DistroKid and all the streams. It might just mean be played on YML or even just in a group of trusted friends or family. Yeah, releasing means letting go. So maybe if I rebranded, it wouldn't really work that well because create, record, release. I own the domain name now, and it's just easy to put on like a T-shirt, create, record, release. But yeah, it would be create, record, let go, or create, record, move on, or something. What I really want people to do is to not get stuck chasing perfection, not get stuck spinning the wheels and trying to find the absolute best on that song, because you're not going to get there. Your first song's probably going to be your worst song, and then your next song's going to be better, and then your next song's better. It doesn't really work that way. Not every song is better than the last one, but you will always learn things from your previous songs that you can implement into your next songs. And unless you're letting go of those songs and finishing them, you're not going to find as much good information and good learning for the next song. That's my 2 cents, and that's my view, and I'm going to stick to it. Yeah, there you go. Create, record, complete. See, Adam, where were you in the branding meeting? I needed you there. Anila says, my first video of yours was, does iPad Pro support USB camera? No. And I'm glad I found your channel. So much GarageBand content that I started watching. And that's cool. Yeah, a lot of people have found me through those gateway videos that are just answering a question. And hopefully you're appreciative that I didn't bait that. And I think a lot of people have said that to me as well. They're like, you didn't do a clickbait title. You actually answered the question in the title. I didn't even need to watch the video, but I watched it anyway just out of interest. And now I've hung around. So thank you. Great to have you as part of the community and have you here on board. Also say, I recently mixed my voice using iPad Pro built-in mics. Too bad it failed the mastering test. I had to record with my standard Yeti Blue. The built-in mics can be hit and miss, and unfortunately, and I had a question about this, I'm not going to risk putting my iPad screen up on display today because Reflector's been a bit iffy in the last few streams. We'll be doing it tomorrow, and I'll talk a little bit more about it then. But yeah, I've had people asking me about the fact that you can't control the input gain on the built-in mic now. You used to be able to. It's not a hardware thing. It's 100% a software thing. GarageBand just decided that they would remove that input gain slider, which I think is just silliness, but hey, it's their company and it's their product, so they can do what they want. All right. Truth Hurts says, Pet Sounds is done in mono. Beatles made albums on 4 tracks. Just finish the song. Right? Exactly. Just finish it. And exactly, if it's not your living, make it fun. And I'd go further than that, Joe, and say if it is your living, make it fun too. Because who wants to make a living doing something that they hate or that they're not having fun with? Not me. He says, sipping his coffee and realizing that he spent 20 years making a living doing something that he didn't love. Yeah. So, yeah, there is that. So, yeah, whatever your musical journey is, embrace it and go with it because it will be what it will be. So go for it. I wanted to talk about this. So I'm going to, if you're a YouTube creator, so I'm going to talk about some practical stuff. I know we've sort of waxed poetic about some more of the I guess theoretical stuff, but I wanted some practical stuff, and I'm going to jump over here to this video, Alpha Gaming. Now, I don't game a lot, but I do watch a lot of Twitch streamers and YouTube gaming streamers because they've been doing this streaming stuff and they've been doing this video stuff a lot longer than most of us. And here's the thing. If you thought being a music creator was hard, or we haven't changed this up, I'll create a new banner here on the fly. We're talking about YouTube consistency. There you go. Seeing behind the scenes here of how I do my things. So if you thought being a music creator on YouTube was hard, imagine trying to be a gaming. There is so much competition in the gaming space. So if you are a gaming Twitch streamer or YouTube streamer, like our friend here at Alpha Gaming, it is really tough. It is tough to actually gain an audience. It's tough to be consistent. It's tough to actually get your videos out there. So I wanted to talk about this because this is, dear new YouTubers, stop doing this. Yes, it's a clickbaity title. But what they go through here is 5 different things that they say that when you're creating on YouTube, you think you need to do, but you shouldn't do. So I wanted your views on these 5 things, and then we will circle back and take a look at the poll. I know people are like, "What's the poll results, Pete?" We'll look at the poll in a moment, but we're going to talk YouTube consistency. So number 1 is that when you start out, you got to be consistent. You got to get that weekly video out there, regardless. Just get it out, and he said that some people even say that before you release your first video, make sure you've got like 10 videos backed up so that you're not under pressure to release one every week, because the YouTube algorithm won't like you unless you release something every single week. Now, for music creators in particular, that's not really going to work. Plus, when you're a new creator, it's bollocks anyway. So for me, and for creators that have been established and doing this for a while, I've been doing it nearly 6 years now, yeah, consistency is important. The algorithm wants to see that you're always releasing new content, and that way it knows that if it recommends your channel to a prospective new viewer, that there's going to be something new for them to watch. YouTube just want the end viewer, the end user, to be watching for as long as possible. So if you release your first song and then you're just scrambling to get a second release out the next week and then another release out the next week, and you're doing that at the risk of your quality and your mental health, just stop. Don't. You don't have to. When you're getting started, just start building up your library. When I first started in 2016, I think I did 2 videos in the first month. I think it was like 1 in the second, and none in the third. I had literally like 4 or 5 videos in the first 4 months. And then it wasn't until I was established and I had maybe 100 or so subscribers did I start actually making consistent weekly videos. Now to the point where we're here every day and we have a new video every day, sometimes more than one, sometimes a couple, such as the last couple of days, we've had more than one video. So consistency is important, but when you're coming out the gate, when you're starting creating in YouTube, it's not super important. Number 2, and this one I found really funny because I see this a lot, and that is making announcements about your channel, what you're gonna do on your channel, what you're not gonna do. I call these people gunners. They're always gonna do something. So his point here was something that I'm really passionate about. When it comes to growing a community or sharing your art with an audience, it is to under-promise and over-deliver. And I can't tell you the number of times where a company, a creator, a whatever, an entity has over-promised and then under-delivered. There is absolutely nothing worse than this. I can't stand it, and I know many of you can't stand it either. When, for instance, you order something online and it says, this will be delivered in 5 days, and then you're waiting there on day 7 and you're checking the tracking and it hasn't even left the warehouse. You're like, that was over-promised, under-delivered. When someone says they'll get back to you by Saturday, and then you're sitting there at Saturday at like 11:59 p.m. going, oh, I knew they wouldn't get back to me, under-promise, over-deliver. What do I love? I love surprise and delight. And many people are the same. We like to have more. We like to get better. And Amazon are really good with this. Amazon say your package will be delivered by Tuesday. And in my experience, your mileage may vary, but in my experience, that package is probably going to arrive the Friday before or the Monday, or at very worst, the Tuesday. They work on the premise that they want to under-promise, say, oh, it might take a bit longer. And then boom, when you get your package 3 days early, it feels like Christmas. Whereas really, it's taken them 4 days to get your package that it could have taken them 2 days. But because they said 7 days, it's good. So the same thing goes for your creator. And I've seen this happen with channels where they'll come out and there'll be a music channel, and then they'll say, oh, I've decided I'm going to be a variety channel. And oh, now I've decided I'm going to do some live streaming about my dog. And it's like, what? Every time, how about you just create content instead of creating content about announcing about what you're going to create content about? So that's a trap that I see happen. And I don't think many folks here would be doing it, but it's something worthwhile. Like, let your content do the talking. Yes, you can hype things. Yes, you can promote things. You've got a new single coming out. You've got a new music video. But spending that time, like trying to overhype it, it can get lost. Get lost really quickly. Quick drink, and then the next one. YouTube and Facebook ads. So I don't know. Hands up anyone that's tried YouTube or Facebook ads? I've tried one Facebook ad ever. It tanked. I do need to try it again. Because here's the thing with Facebook and YouTube ads, they're not great at selling something like your YouTube channel or a music video. They're good for products. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube ads, if you've got a product. So what I've got, as you may know, I have a GarageBand beginners course. It's $10. You can buy it, studiolivetoday.com/courses. I need to start advertising that because I know this community, all of you folks and all the cool people that you share this content with are aware of it. But there's a lot of people out there that have either tried GarageBand, that have given it a bit of a go, are getting overwhelmed or getting daunted. And if I can actually get an ad out there to those people to say, hey, guess what? For $10, I've got a cool little course that you can do, that's probably going to work. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to try there. But when you're starting out, it really doesn't work. Have you ever seen those where someone's got, hey, if you want to learn how to do this, come check out my YouTube channel, and it's an ad on Facebook or YouTube? It just doesn't work. So before you go down the paid path, make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you're creating good quality content. Uh, this one is very near and dear to my heart, and we'll be talking about gear in the next section. So might sound semi-hypocritical, but waiting to save up to get all the best gear so that you can look like this dude, basically, so that you can have a studio like this with all the flashy lights behind and all the neon and all the other things going on. Don't wait to create. And I know I've said this a bunch of times. Don't wait to create because. Sorry, no, he's not in. There you go. There he is in his nice, 4K camera and the nice background and the nice LEDs and everything going on there. But that's taken a long time to actually create all of that. And it's the same for you. If you've just got your iPhone camera and some decent light coming through your window, start creating, start recording, and start getting your videos out there because people want to know what's going on. People want to know what's happening. And I'll point to the Indigo Sunsets. Yes, Stu. Yeah, Andy. I'm calling you out here. The Indigo Sunsets, if you don't know them, a great band. It's Andy Goldsby, Stu Cash. And they started just creating videos. So Stu would shoot them on his iPhone. He learnt LumaFusion on the iPad, started editing together. The first were great. Like, they were great videos. And then as he's developing, they're getting better and better. They've got the green screens going on. They've got the lighting going on. They've got the effects going on. They're improving their audio production quality, and they're making things a heck of a lot better. So if they had waited to get like all the gear, all of the stuff, all the apps, all the experience before they sent their first video out there, no one would know who they are, and they would not be as far along their journey as they are now. So please do not wait. Use the gear you have right now. Start creating. And the last one's really interesting, and it's not needing affirmation or validation, which I thought was really key. And I've never really thought about it in this way before, which is why I love what I do, which is, I watch videos during the week and then I come and share some of the key concepts with you on this show, because I get these questions all the time. I get people asking, oh, what should I do? Should I create a channel where I talk about my experience recording in GarageBand? The answer is yes. Oh, will it be successful if I do this? The answer is, I don't know. Should I try? I don't know. People want validation. They want that comfort level that what they're going to do is going to be respected. It's going to work. It's going to be the best thing. Truth of the matter is, nobody knows. I don't know. You don't know. You don't know what the next big thing is going to work. That if you told me that 30-second vertical video would take over the world and things like TikTok and Instagram stories would be the biggest things on the internet, I would have called you a lying liar who lies, because I personally think that they're not that entertaining. But what do I know? Because the vast majority of people in the world on the internet do. So if you've decided that, hey, I'm super into rock collecting and I'm going to create my own rock collecting channel, is it going to work? I don't know. Probably, maybe not. I don't know. Depends. But what it does come down to is your passion. And that's one of the things that was mentioned in this video, which I've dropped in the description. I do recommend that you watch it. Is that, yeah, you need to be passionate about the thing you're doing. Before you worry about viewers, before you worry about subscribers, before you worry about success, before you worry about monetization of your content, you need to be passionate about it. Because if you're not passionate, how do you expect someone to care about what you have to say about a topic? And I've said this before, but when people get getting into cryptocurrency and NFTs and cannabis products and all of these newfangled stuff, it's really clear that they're not actually passionate about it. They're seeing what's hot and they're following it. Trap beat making got massive about 2 years ago. Everyone was making a trap beat. I had to work out what a trap beat was because so many people were asking me about it. There can't be that many people in the world that love trap music. It's a fine music form, but the people that were successful were the people that were really passionate about making trap music. That's my 2 cents, and that's what I'm going to go with. So there you go. Let's see what folks have to say here. I will go back a little bit just to see if there's anyone. Friggsy said, I did run Facebook ads on my last song. I did something wrong. The GUI seems to keep changing. I got massive reach and click, but didn't transfer to stream. So I did. And that's what we're finding. Here's the thing. If you get out there and you get in front of people and they click on your stuff, but then they don't like it, if you target the wrong audience with some sort of advertising or promotion, it can actually do you damage as opposed to... as opposed to that, as opposed to helping you out. What's Lahive says, I won't ask any more questions because I know you'll end up being my neighbor or something. Oh, so we've got folks chatting with each other. That's cool. Adam says, I see people go out of business waiting to make it perfect to release. Yeah, exactly. Don't wait. Don't go out of business waiting for something to be perfect. Don't wait. And the thing is, people love to see you documenting your journey. The reason that I think that many folks have liked hanging out here on this channel for the last sort of 3, 4, 5 years is that they've seen me evolve and change over time. And you know that when I talk about stuff, I'm not following the trends. Like, if I wanted to be trendy, I'd probably be making fly beats in FL Studio. Did I say that right? No, fire beats. Sorry, got it wrong. I'd be probably making beats in FL Studio and telling people how to sell their beats to rappers. Like, I would be following the trends of what's popular. I'd try to become the next Lil Nas X. But I'm not, because I'm not passionate about that. And people ask me, because I do lots of practical DistroKid videos about how to release your music. People ask me about promoting music a lot. And I do have to learn more about this personally, because if you, the viewers, are asking me about it, I should have decent answers for you. But for now, I just say, go check out Damien Keys. He knows 10 times more than I do about music promotion. I don't. I just want to get my music out there so that people can listen to it. I don't focus on the promotion side. So, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Steven Spielberg. There is Stu Cash himself. Thomas says, I did my first Thomas Christ live standing in front of a printer. Exactly. I did my first live stream with really grainy, no lighting in front of my treadmill. So you can go back and look at it. It's still there because I love that. I love having the history of it behind me. Hello, Cool Music Tech. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Gary Chapman. Hope you are doing well. Lonely Stoner 666. There you go. Yeah. I don't know what that means. There you go. SM Borthwick says, my daughter collects rocks, which is, in effect, means I have a mantelpiece. Sorry, I laughed halfway through that. For my vision impaired listeners, SM Borthwick said, my daughter collects rocks, which in effect means I have a mantelpiece covered in gravel. I love it. Alrighty, I'll hop down off my soapbox now. If you do have questions, I'm just scrolling down through here. I've probably missed this. Jalen Lay says, I like the view of not waiting to make a perfect release. I say that because my first song I made with GarageBand was horrible, but that bad song allowed me to learn how to be better. Exactly. You're going to learn along the way. Greg says, trap is still huge and morphing into other styles like hyperpop. Mobile Music Pro, good source for that. And there you go. Vortex over at Mobile Music Pro is into that. He is passionate about that stuff. So that's where you need to go. If Pete starts trying to make trap music, you know that something, like I'll do it occasionally just for fun, just to learn how to do it because I like new things, but it's not my passion. So I'm not going to ever become a trap music channel. But Vortex over at Mobile Music Pro, he does. So go with it. All right. And exactly, Anil's got the last point on this, which is 5 years down the line, you'll laugh at your old videos, but if you waited, you would just make the same video 5 years later. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. All right, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat with this week's midpoint motivation. If you're new to this show, every week we go off on a bit of a tangent and we do this one. We do a midpoint motivation, which is just 3 or 4 minutes in the middle of the show where I just want to give you, and look, it's been a bit motivation heavy already anyway, so apologies that we're going to do this again. But from an Ask Me Anything that I did back in March, so not that long ago, I released this video and it's titled Successful People Don't Have Time to Bring Other People Down. And I still see this to this day, and it seems that the more time people have and the more people are in like these frustrated lockdown situations, the more infighting I see, the more people like just having a go at other people on the internet. And I wanted to make this point. So instead of rehashing my old point, I think I said it well in this 4-minute video. So what I'm going to do is going to jump across. We're going to get Inception, a bit of Pete versus Pete going on here. I'll jump out of the way and I'll play you this video. We'll return with the answer to that poll question in just 4 minutes time. But for now, take it away, Pete from March. Successful people do not have time to bring down other people. I'll say it again. Successful people are busy. They're working. They're trying to do all the things they need to do to continue to be successful. They do not have time to go into forums, to go into chats, to go into Facebook groups and bring other people down or question other people's decisions on what they do and how they do it. I say this because a friend of mine had a situation like that this week, and many folks come to me with these situations where they say, Pete, I've been creating music and I'm losing confidence in myself because I've been working on it for over a year now, and I shared a song the other day, and then this person, Stupid Pants 49 or whatever the names they give themselves, came into a forum and they're like, that's terrible. A, you're using GarageBand. B, you're not a professional. I've been in a studio for 12 years. And by the way, anytime anyone has to tell you how many years they've been doing something, they've got serious insecurities, because it's not about how long you've been doing things, right? Yes, you get more experience, but that's kind of irrelevant. And, the way you did that EQing was terrible. The way you did this was terrible. Yeah, you should give up right now. Those sort of people are having a really bad time. Either they're having a really bad day, a really bad month, or more likely, a kind of shitty life. Like, I didn't mean to swear, but that's kind of how it is. And it is so much more about them than it is about you. It is so much more about them than it is about you. Because, again, I'll say it a third time, people who know their craft, who are successful, who are creating music, who are working in a studio, who are working in their home studio, who are putting out music and working with other people, simply do not have the time, the energy, or the inclination to go into online forums and bring other people down. So, anyone you see that is in any group that is just bringing people down, that's pulling them down, is all about insecurity. It's all about their insecurity, their lack of confidence. Instead of them rising above and just letting their art do the talking, they need to pull other people down, because it's going to make them feel a little more superior. Because if they can knock the people down, they're worried that everyone else is bubbling up. It's never been easier to create music now. Anyone with a smartphone or an iPad can get GarageBand and within a couple of weeks be creating decent songs, and within a couple of months and a couple of years be releasing really high quality music. So I'm going to say it a fourth time. If you are feeling bad because a random stranger on the internet has said something damaging and said something that's brought you down and made you feel like crap, just think, feel empathy, feel sympathy, feel sorry for that person, because they are not spending their time in the wisest way. They need to be working on themselves. And if anything, they need to be building other people up and making connections and making relationships with other people that are going to help them create better music. Because you know what happens? When you stop learning, you get left behind. We've seen it in everything. We've seen it in the newspaper business. Hey, this internet thing is a new fad. We'll just ignore it and keep putting out newspapers. Left behind. We've seen it with digital versus analog. Hey, this new digital stuff is just a fad. I'm going to keep recording to tape. Left behind. And we're seeing it now with the mobile recording revolution. Hey, these iPads and iPhones are a nice little gimmick. Maybe I'll record a demo, but there's no way you can create pro level sound using your iPhone or iPad. They're going to get left behind. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let me know what you think. If you agree, disagree, I'm open to this, but I can't get my head around why people spend all of their time and energy doing this. I don't have the time, and I'm just one dude on YouTube. Like, there's people that have got a lot more. It's true. I am just one dude on YouTube. Thanks, Pete. You're welcome, Pete. So yeah, that's what I wanted to cover this week. And I thought, like I said, I was thinking about it. I was literally thinking about it, and then YouTube suggested my own video to me. I must have been searching out other similar videos, and then I found that one. I'm just like, oh, I talked about negativity and negative people and why you need to ignore Stupid Pants 49 already. So I don't need to rehash that. But I know many of you have probably only joined the channel recently, and you may not have caught that video yet. So there you go. Adam says that the best advice I've heard is don't invest in good or bad comments or press, because that isn't why you're doing it, and it never ends up positively. Yeah, I've Gary Vaynerchuk, who's someone that I follow. Well, I still follow, but he's gotten very into NFTs now, and he and I don't see eye to eye on NFTs. But anyway, he talks about don't listen to the cheers or the boos, and I sort of reinterpreted that as, there's going to be 10% of people that love you and everything you do. You can drop a big pile of and they'll be like, wow, look at it, look at the shape. And there's some people that no matter what you do, you could create something amazingly epic and they'll still like crap on you. So listening to those people to get either your validation or to think you're crap because people say you're crap isn't a great thing for mental health. The truth is in the 80% in between. So you're going to have 10% of people that love you, 10% of people that hate you, 80% of people are just along for the ride. And if they are the ones that just go, yeah, good job, Pete, nice work, that's what you need to go for, in my personal opinion. Again, in my opinion, which is what we talked about before. It was Kodak that made the same mistake with cameras. There's a really research it. I'll try and find a video if I remember for next week. There's a really cool video I watched the other day about Kodak and the mistake that they made. So to give you the really brief rundown version of this, of why you need to adapt and change, and why people that are still in their big studios and that they think that mobile recording is just a fad and it'll go away, they need to really take a strong, hard look at themselves, because the film camera industry thought that about digital. I remember speaking to photographers 20 years ago that they're like, oh, it's nice that, consumers can have little digital cameras in their hand, but nothing will ever replace film. Yeah. Kodak actually developed the first digital camera. They were at the forefront and they buried it. They did not want to continue pursuing it, and they did not want to make that their business model. Why? Because they were making so much money on the film development and the processing of photos. They looked at digital and went, if people don't have to buy film and if people don't have to get film developed, that's our two biggest profit centers. Instead of realizing that if they embrace digital and they embrace digital scanning and they embrace digital photography and started selling SD cards and started creating online services where people could share their photos, doing things like that, they would have been golden. Instead, they did the Blockbuster. Blockbuster were the same. Blockbuster went, we could go down this route of going online, but our biggest revenue stream is handing out DVDs to people. Guess what? Netflix went, we tried that, but it's actually more cost effective if we just do streaming. And Netflix crushed Blockbuster. Blockbuster could have been Netflix. Could have easily happened. Absolutely. Loner Stoner says, how do you get out there in the real world, though? I'm a Gen Z, so it's all mostly technology. I just want to break people free to the truth, the glass ceiling for all of us in the world. Look, it's tough. It's tough getting out there, isn't it? Especially if you're introverted, as I am. How long have I been talking about going and doing some busking and playing some live shows? I can do it sitting here in the comfort of my audio cave. Am I getting out there and actually playing in front of people? No, because it's not my natural state. I'll get there though. We'll all get there. You just got to keep going. That's the thing. You're not going to go from, and this is the problem I see a lot of the time, is that we have a lot of, we want speed. We want things to be happening right now or yesterday, but it does take a long time. There's an old saying that it took me 20 years to become an overnight success. It definitely took me 6 years to be able to learn the things I need to learn to actually run a YouTube channel and run a music education business full time, because I couldn't have done it 5 years ago. I just didn't have the experience or the knowledge or the know-how. Evolution, hello to you. Best was late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, that would be tough to be able to vote in the poll. Speaking of the poll, we better get back to that. Stu Cash says, just had 2 of our tracks played on BBC introducing tonight. Both tracks made on GarageBand iOS. Who needs a mega extensive studio? Absolutely. Yeah, what is Blockbuster? Does anyone remember Blockbuster? You know what I do miss? While I get the poll results up, you know what I do miss about Blockbuster? I missed that experience. Is anyone with me that the experience of going to a video store and strolling around and find there wasn't all the stuff online. There wasn't all of the different like trailers that you could watch online. Maybe you'd see a trailer in the movie theater when you saw something, or you'd see something on TV about a movie. But a lot of the time you didn't actually know what was being played and therefore what was coming out on video. So you walk around and you'd see something and you'd be like, oh, Terminator. That looks interesting. Who's this Arnold Schwarzenegger guy? I'll check this out. And then you take it home and you watch the Terminator. So yeah, I like I liked that concept of actually going around and being out and about and actually being, you go with your friends or your family and you'd have arguments about which one you're going to pick. And then you'd be like, oh, wait, they've got a special. It's two new releases and 5 weeklies for $10. Quick, let's do that. And then you get a bunch of movies and then you'd watch like one of them and then you'd take them all back. And if those that remember the VHS days, the rewinding, oh yeah, that was a whole different thing. Anyway. Do video stores even exist anymore? There was one left in Adelaide and it closed down about a year ago and I was sad. There was one right down the road from me and I was very tempted to go and buy a bunch of them because I was selling all their old DVDs. Now, I go to cash converters for those that have cashies in their areas, and the DVDs are 50 cents or $1. Like, it's ridiculous. They can't give them away. All right, let's end this poll, and then we'll see what era of music you good folks think is the best. So I've just ended it there. It should pop it in the chat now. There you go. 53 of you voted in the poll here today. And don't worry, if you're here on the replay, please go back and leave a comment. Defend your era. Tell me why the music was best in your era. And let's take a look at this poll result. I'll throw it here in the chat for everyone. Wherever you're watching, you'll be able to see this. So, What do we have? 60s and 70s got 37% of votes, 90s got 33%, 80s got 16%, and noughties and 10s just 11%. So a lot of you believe that, yeah, the best music was the 60s and the 70s. And look, it's hard to argue with that because a lot of the 90s music was kind of the same. A lot of the 90s music came out of a lot of the 70s music. So I think that if you look at Nirvana were like Black Sabbath 20 years later. Yeah, like it's interesting that all the grunge, like the punk of the 90s, the punk that I loved in the 90s, was derived from the punk in the 70s. That was cool. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, to see that. Sorry, I'm distracted because I'm looking at the chat here and I'm seeing the moderators doing their work. I don't normally see that; it doesn't pop them up here in my feed here in StreamYard. But I'm looking over here and I'm seeing Thomas going to work here, moderating the chat. So thank you, Tom. I do appreciate it. I don't get to see exactly what you do, but because I had to go over to YouTube, the poll isn't actually integrated into StreamYard, so I can't actually see it here. So I had to go over to YouTube. Where are we here? What did I have? Gear. So I'm probably going to have to move some things here into next week's because we'll run out of time because I do want to get to the hidden gems before we finish the show. I have made this show just an hour now. We were doing 2 hours, but I decided that an hour's enough. What is it? That the whole thing? Leave them wanting more. And I found that the second hour just got a little draggy. So we've tightened things up here at the Creator Town Hall and we're making it an hour. So hopefully you leave going, oh, I wish there was more. That's better than going, oh, there's more. That's my thoughts anyway. So I wanted to talk about gear. And I know I talked before when we were talking about the mistakes that new YouTubers make and that new creators and new musicians make is saying, I need all the gear. I need to have all the gear before I get started. And I've said time and time again, and hopefully you've listened to the advice, which is use the gear you have right now to create. If you've just got a pair of headphones, I love like my $20 JBL Endurance Run headphones. Let me rant on this for a moment before we get in. But the headphones that I use, if you come down here to the headphones section of, by the way, this is the studio gear guide. If you go to studiolivetoday.com/gear and you come on down here to scroll on down and you'll find headphones. These ones here, the JBL Endurance Run. Let's see if Amazon have them in stock because I actually need some more. Yeah, there you go, $18.99. So $20, less than $20, and they're in stock. Sweet. And they're only they're only $10 shipping to Australia. So I'll be buying 3 or 4 pairs of these later today because I go through about one set of these every 6 months, and I usually just make sure I've got 2 or 3 pairs as backups in the drawer. Because I'm such a heavy headphone user, I've always got a backup. But these are gold. Like these great, really comfortable earpieces to use in there. They use a 3.5mm jack, so you will need your little lightning dongle if you're using it with a newer iPhone or iPad. But yeah, they're super comfortable, and the headphone that you get in these, there they are. The microphone, that little thing there, is actually ridiculously good. If you're recording voice, so I've recorded entire videos. If you've seen any of my shorts videos, if you've seen any of my out and about videos, yeah, I've got a nice mobile microphone that I use sometimes, but if I can't be bothered, I'll literally just plug in these headphones and they are super cool. So you could get started recording, legitimately recording, monitoring your audio through the headphones, using the little microphone and recording your own vocals over the top of a track or a beat in GarageBand for $20. In fact, I'm going to do that. I need to do that. I need to actually do a challenge where I use just those to record a whole song. Who'd be down for that? On my phone. iPhone recording with just a $20 pair of headphones. I think that could be a heck of a lot of fun. So this is why I love doing this show, because these ideas just come out of random rants. But, excuse me. But what I want to say here is that there is, the reason, if you come through this guide, what you'll notice is the magic number for bits of gear seems to be $100. And I mention that because whether you're buying a audio interface, a microphone, a pair of headphones, a pair of monitor speakers, as soon as you go too far south of $100, your quality gets down a little bit. So let's show you an example of this one, shall we? So I'm going to jump in here to the Steinberg UR12. If you are starting out in recording, this is a tank. This is what I recommend you buy because everyone I've recommended to this to that gets one loves it. They love the quality. They love that it's only $110 to buy it. And they just love how flexible it is with iPhone, iPad, Mac, PC. You plug this thing into anything. You've got the Yamaha D preamps in there. You've got a high Z input for your guitar. And it punches so far above its weight. You can power it up via USB or via 5-volt DC. You've got output. You've got 48 volts of phantom power. It is just a little powerhouse. It's a little nugget of goodness that does a great job. Now, you might be aware that there's something else you can buy that if you were just starting out in in the world, if you went, oh, what's it? I've only got a small budget here. I'll find a cheap. Ah, look at this. For $49, where do I sign up? $49. Yeah, I'll buy this one. Now, look, I don't want to poo poo all over this particular company, but I have this, I've tried this, and it is not as good. Funnily enough, because it's only $50, but it is not even half as good, in my personal opinion. And look, it gets lots of good reviews because it's so cheap. But it's only 16-bit audio. These things on top are super plasticky. It's just the build quality is not there, and the noise that I get when I record through this thing versus the Steinberg is just 3 or 4 times more noisy. It's just not nice and quiet. So that's why I've come across this sort of idea that I think $100 is the sweet spot. And the same thing goes with microphones. And it works the other way. So if I go the Audio Technica AT2020, I think someone mentioned it earlier, it might have been James, Audio Technica AT2020. This is my go-to microphone. And again, it's that $100 mark. Now, can you buy microphones for $50 and $60 and $40? Yeah, you can. Are they good enough in some circumstances? Yeah, they are. But the other side is, do you need to go with something like this? Do you need to go with a Shure SM7B as your microphone? Because it does work the same the other way. So the difference between a $100 and a $400 microphone, you're not going to notice it. Especially if you're starting out, you're just not going to notice the difference between a $100 and a $400 microphone. And I say this every time I talk about gear, but it's a bit like wine. With a good bottle of wine, $20 bottle of wine tastes good. A $5 bottle of the wine, you'll just regret it instantly when you drink it. But the difference between a $20 and a $100 bottle, I can't tell. I'm not a big wine guy, so I can't tell. And if you're starting out in audio, do not wait until you can afford a Shure SM7B and a Cloud Lifter and an Apollo Twin. Just get yourself some good quality gear. But maybe, if you can stretch your budget, maybe go with something more like the AT2020 for the microphone, more like the Steinberg interface, and maybe not so much with the super cheaper stuff. That's my 2 cents on gear. And if you want to check out all of my gear recommendations, head over to studiolivetoday.com/gear. And absolutely, if you overthink it, you'll lose the emotion. Exactly right. Good point here from Frigsy. I'm using the Euphoria 1820, more expensive and bigger, but it's good and has the Midas preamps. Yeah, so, and before you think that Pete just hates on Behringer all the time, I don't fully agree with everything that they do and all of their business model, but if you're going to get a Behringer interface, if you look for the Behringer HD series for a cheaper one, or anything as Frigsy says here that has the Midas preamp. So I'm just going to try and find a Behringer HD, because I know folks like Glenn Clark use a Behringer HD. I can't find it now. But the UM HD, just don't, the standard UM ones that have the Xenix preamps, they're not super great, and they're not a great build quality. But if you exactly as SM, but if Glenn Clark uses a Behringer, so they can't be all bad. The HD ones are 24-bit, and they just have a much lower noise floor. You won't get that noisy recording, and you'll get much better quality. And yeah, the ATK, ATG MX Audio Technica headphones, there's a lot of good stuff that you can do. Thomas says, everyone knows you need a Neumann U87 before you can record. Yeah, no, please don't wait. Don't wait for that. And apologies, we did lose a little bit of a signal. StreamYard tells me now when the signal goes down. So, yeah, we've lost a little bit. My kids are probably playing Minecraft or something. Soaking up all the bandwidth. I'll have a wee rant, but we're going to run a little bit over here today. But I'll have a bit of a rant here because my internet company, and look, I get it that I'm the rare one, but they've upped my download speed to ludicrous speed. For my Spaceballs fans over there, they've engaged ludicrous speed. But here's the problem. They've actually reduced upload speed. So they've basically sacrificed a lot of the throughput for upload for download. So for me trying to upload even a 1080p video at the moment, I'm getting usually between 10 and 20 megabits up, which I know it's still good, but I was getting 30 before when I was getting 100 down. I'm now getting 200 plus megabit down, which I just don't need. I don't know what you'd be doing to need that. Like, you'd have to be doing like 4K streams with Netflix, but I guess they're thinking in terms of people being and consuming. But surely more people are actually doing video conferencing and needing to have better upload speeds now than download. I don't know. Anyway, you have the same problems? I don't know. It's my internet company. I have to ask them. All right, we'll answer this quick question from Adam, and then we'll get into our hidden gems because we're way behind. Do you have an opinion on Presonus? I see that the package is being pushed pretty hard on Amazon. I don't, but I'm actually in the process of considering. I don't need any more gear, and I definitely need to sell some gear before I buy some gear. But I'm considering checking out the Presonus audio interface because a lot of people have been recommending that to me recently. And you might be aware that I recently picked up. If you come down here to monitor speakers, where are you? Speakers, monitors. I recently picked up a pair of these, the Presonus Iris 3.5, and they are amazing. Talk about your $100. These things punch so far above their weight. They're plugged in right here now. I used to have the KRK Rockets, but I've never gone back. Once I bought these, I've just kept these plugged in because they're so good. And what is the name of the Presonus one? Is it just the Presonus one? We'll just go Presonus interface here. A lot of people have been recommending this one to me now as well. Where is it? It's not that one, or is it? Yeah, it's this one here. The Audio Box USB 96. The 25th anniversary. So this is basically, it's like the UR12, but it's actually got 2 preamps. So it's actually more like the UR22, but instead of being $190 or $160 like the Focusrite, it's only $99. So I'm seriously, maybe when I buy my JBL Endurance Run, I'll pick up this one as well and put it to the test because I'm hearing really good things about it. And again, it's at that $100 mark. So if you can get a 2 input, balanced output, MIDI, USB 3, actually no, that's only USB 2, but still, you can get all of that for under 100. That's actually a sweet deal. And look, you get a free Ampire modeling amp and pedalboard plug-in and a $59 value if you buy it through Sweetwater. So yeah, good question and something that I will, I'm considering. Maybe I need to reach out to Presonus and say, hey, I bought your speakers and I love them. Want to send me an interface? I'd love to check it out. Worth a shot, right? Maybe. But good question. Thank you for that. All right, let's quickly jump in here to our hidden gems, which I don't have brought up yet. Again, we talked about this. I'm a bit behind. So if you jump down to the description, you'll find all of these down there. So this is our MIDI special. So what I do, what the hidden gems is, it's a bunch of creators that are creating stuff that I think that you're going to dig. I dig them, and I think you'll dig them. And if you are a nostalgia nerd like me, what better channel to go to than the Nostalgia Nerd? So this is a great one. If you want to learn about sort of the history side of MIDI, we'll just turn that one down. But if you want to learn about what happened to MIDI, so if you remember back in the sort of early days when you had like 90s computers and you'd have MIDI files, I was big into MIDI files, like listening to MIDI files and doing things with MIDI files. And this one's actually really cool to just to find out a little bit about what happened. So obviously MIDI, if you're not, okay, not obviously, let's go back a step. MIDI stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. And early on, MIDI was used to connect up your keyboards and your synthesizers and your audio gear to your computers, usually an Atari ST or an Amiga or some early sort of PCs and Macs and things back in the day, and you could record in using your keyboard. But then there's also like these ad-lib cards and Sound Blaster cards that could play MIDI. There were MIDI files. There was like the Canyon.mid that came with Windows PCs that you had back in the day. So MIDI's had a really long history and it's been used for a bunch of different stuff. So if you want to learn a little bit about the history, it's a 25-minute video, but it's a really interesting watch. And the Nostalgia Nerd, if you've watched any of his videos, is a really cool dude. Look, he's got an epic beard too, so you know he's cool. So yeah, check out Nostalgia Nerd. A lot of other cool stuff on that channel as well about old school computer stuff with a little bit of a musical flavor. So these aren't creators that are just about music, but they've definitely got a musical tilt to them. Tilt? Is that the right word? All right. Now, many of you may know, again, that I mentioned before that I like gaming. I'm not a gamer, as so to speak, but I do like gaming and I like gaming culture. And one particular channel that I absolutely adore is LGR. Yes, Lazy Game Reviews. And this one is where Clint Basinger from Lazy Game Reviews is actually a big, giant synth and MIDI nerd. So he's built MIDI mountains with a bunch of old MIDI gear on his channel before. And check out his synth setup. Yeah, this is the sort of synth setup that gives me nightmares. Because all of the plugging of the thing, like whenever I see Doug on the sound test room using actual things where he has to plug things into other things, I lose my ever-loving mind. Because to me, that just looks like a nightmare. I like things clean and simple and in the box. That is the absolute opposite in my view. But a really, really interesting video. And if you want to geek out on some old and newer synth and MIDI hardware, jump over to LGR because it's got some great videos over there. Thomas says it looks beautiful. And it does, but it's also panic attack inducing in my view. Yeah, Canyon.mid, right? Remember Canyon.mid on Windows 3.1? Kind of sounded a bit like the Doogie Howser MD theme, or if I'm remembering it right. If you want some entertainment and you want a creator who is absolutely crushing it, you can't go past Andrew Wong, can you? No, you can't. If you don't know of Andrew and his work, this is my man, Andrew. Amazing musician, super entertaining creator, and does a lot of really cool things on his channel. And this one, blind testing the cheapest MIDI keyboards. So if you're in the market for a cheaper MIDI keyboard and you're getting into MIDI, my recommendations over on the Gear Guide are things like the M Audio Key Station. I think they're good. I also own a Korg Micro Key, which is pretty cool. A lot of people like the Akai stuff, the Akai MK series. There's heaps of others. There's a lot of other ones. The Axioms, the Arturia, heaps of different options. But Andrew is a dude that I do trust, and this is actually, it's from a couple of years ago, but a lot of the stuff is the same stuff that's still sold, and a super entertaining video, well produced, and yeah, just go through and watch him like actually blind testing. So there's one thing to look at a keyboard, and there you go. I've ruined that one. So the Novation launch key got a 7 out of 10. There you go. But yeah, it's just really interesting to go through and watch that, because so much about playing a MIDI keyboard is what it feels like, right? It's the touch, it's the feel of the keys, and you can't really get that from a lot of reviews. You definitely can't get that from just looking at it online. You need to actually feel it and just touch it. You know, there's nothing better than touching things. I know that and again, because I know that not everyone can easily walk into stores and touch things, you know, touching is kind of a thing of the past. That's so 2019. But someone like Andrew with this review can actually help. So there you go. I hope I hope you check that one out. Speaking of cool people, and I mentioned the Akai MK series before. The Akai Mini MK is probably one of the most popular mini MIDI. Say that 10 times fast. Mini MIDI keyboards going around there. And our man Sanjay C. If you're not aware of Sanjay C, another ridiculously good channel. I think I've mentioned him before on the Creator Town Hall, but check out Sanjay here. 300,000+ subscribers. Really cool, really nice, really down to earth dude. And he does a before you buy review of the Akai MPK Mini. It is a really nice keyboard. You can see there you got the pads on there, you got the dials, you got all of the stuff going on there. So, and it looks nice, like the wood grain sides on that thing. Like how nice does that look on his desk? So if you are in the market for a smaller keyboard, and I did see this question. Someone asked it on the GarageBand users group in the last day. You can go ahead and check out that one. So Sanjay C is the dude, and he does cool stuff over there. And then it wouldn't be we can't talk MIDI, and I did mention his name before. We can't talk MIDI without talking about our friend, the one, the only, Mr. Doug Woods from the Sound Donna. There he is. I lost my camera there for a second. We're having all sorts of weird internet issues here. I apologize for that. But let's go back. See, it was Doug's face. It wouldn't let me stream Doug's face. It's like, no. What's actually happening is it's the start of the day on a Monday of lockdown in Adelaide, and everyone's turning their PCs on in their home offices and starting to do things. So thankfully, we are more towards the end of the show. But yeah, Doug talking about the Donna DMK25. Now, Donna actually reached out to me in the last couple of weeks and have offered to send me some stuff. So I wanted to ask you, if you're watching here live or if you're watching on the replay, have you checked out any of this Donna gear? Because it's a bit Behringer adjacent. It's a bit like Behringer in that it's sort of slightly cheaper gear, but it actually looks decent quality. They have audio interfaces, they have MIDI keyboards, they have other things there. So I'm not sure. I'm hesitant to get new gear because I already have enough gear, and I'll only get new gear like that PreSonus interface if there's enough people that want to see me put it to the test, that want to actually find out about it. But I would go and check that out. Metalhead Hippie says Donna is good stuff. There you go. Well, this is the sort of stuff I need to hear. Hello, Hippie, by the way. This is the sort of stuff I need to hear, is what people think. And if you've tried it and if you think it's good, then I'll definitely get some gear and check it out. The Hippie says I have a few Donna pedals and patch cables. Yeah, cool. See, I wasn't sure because, to be really honest, a little bit behind the curtain, like, it's not like every company is reaching out to me and saying, Pete, we want to send you this, we want to send you that. But I do get a lot of offers for gear to be sent to me, and some of it is like, hello, sir, we represent company making good stuff. And I look at the stuff and I'm like, woo, okay, yeah, this doesn't look like quality gear. I don't think I want to be getting any of this sort of stuff. And sometimes I'll say, okay, just send it through to me. But these days I always put a warning on that to say, send it to me. I do not guarantee, because I've had people in the past send me something and they're like, when will your review be? We sent you free gear. You must do a review for us. When will your review be? You must include this link. And so these days, I'm super honest and upfront, and I say, thank you for the offer of sending me thing. If you would like to send thing, here's my postal address. Please be aware that receiving this, I can't guarantee that I will do a review. I will test the product, and if it is something that I believe that my community will find valuable and is a good value product for the price, then I will do a review or I will mention it on the channel. Which I know it makes me sound like a bit of a tool, but too many times I've had people come to me saying, yeah, here's the gear, and they send it to me, and then I'm like, oh, now you have to do something with it. Don't like it. Who have I missed? Who have I said good day to? Hello, Darren Bryan, who says I have a couple of Donna pedals and they are good. There you go. Like it. John Sign has a very interesting producer channel. Anyone watch him? I do. I've watched John Sign. Maybe that could be a hidden gem for a future. He was the guy that talked about Behringer, wasn't he? Was he the guy that sort of did the big series about Behringer? Yeah. I don't know. Go and check out John Sign, though. He is good and does good stuff. We are rolling around to the end. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Protecting my time, but more importantly, protecting your time. So, and protecting my integrity as well, if that makes sense, because the last thing I want to do is be forced to have to say nice things about things. So I'm very upfront now. These days, I'd rather say a quick no than draw it out, than say yes up front and then eventually have to turn it around to a no. So that's kind of the way that I go with things. Where were we? Do we have anything else here? I think we've covered everything. I had here. We were going to talk about live streaming and copyright claims on YouTube. We will save that for a future show. I'll give you the quick version of this. For live streaming, if you're wondering, I use StreamYard, which works really well for me. Can I give you a quick view of what my StreamYard looks? Let's see if we get all Inception on this. If I share my screen like this and I bring myself across. So this is what StreamYard looks like. We'll go, whoa, there we are. We've got Inception, Pete inside Pete. But this is what StreamYard actually looks like, that you can see over there. I've got all of your things down the side here that I can pop up if I wanted to go in there. I can put the hippies comment up there, and I can do that really quickly. I've got a bunch of banners that I can use here. I can say, yeah, if you've got a question, put your question there, do those sort of things. So this is my little action station that I have to be able to do everything. And if I want to go back to just a full screen of me, I can do that. And then come back over here. So StreamYard is really, really cool. And you can use it for free there. Not a sponsor of the channel, but there is an affiliate link down in the description. So if you're getting into live streaming and you want a simple and effective way to do it from your Mac or your PC or even your mobile device, StreamYard lets you do 20 hours of live streaming for free each month. So just sign up at StreamYard.com. Link in the description. YouTube content ID and copyright claims. I had some questions over the weekend saying, how do you do your music live show? Don't you get copyright claims all the time? Short answer is yes, I do. The thing with copyright on YouTube is the safest way to avoid copyright is to not use anyone else's music under any circumstances. Number one. Number two is if you are using other people's music, it all comes down to how they have their music set up. So if they have released it through DistroKid or CD Baby or TuneCore and they've selected to have YouTube Content ID, then when you play their music, it will generate a copyright claim, and that means that any money that you make, any advertising revenue from that video, simply gets channeled back to that original creator. If you are not part of the YouTube Partner Program and you don't monetize your videos, that doesn't matter at all. However, if you are consistently using other people's content, getting lots of copyright claims, and then you apply to become part of the YouTube Partner Program, it can make it more difficult for you to do that. So when you're starting out a channel, I wouldn't recommend using other people's music for that reason. The evil step cousin of copyright claims are copyright strikes. They happen when you basically blatantly use an entire copyrighted song, usually of a more popular artist, because those artists have record companies and publishers who choose to pursue their copyright in a much more aggressive way. Whilst an independent creator probably loves their song being played, and maybe they'll have Content ID on there, maybe not, so they'll get a copyright claim, a bigger producer or a bigger company will say, nope, we don't want this played at all, which I think is absolute bollocks, just quietly, because why wouldn't you want your song played? Or just take the revenue. There's no downside of that. People aren't watching a live stream of someone playing your song instead of listening to your song. However, that's the way they choose to go. So if you go and play a Eagles song, particularly, then Don Henley is going to put his hand up and his hand out and say no. Not only is he going to try and take your revenue, but he'll actually block that, and it means your video will get blocked, can't be viewed in any country, and you'll get a copyright strike. So, yeah, before you go away and start thinking that you're going to go and play Hotel California on your live stream, that's it. All right, that's all I'm going to say. We'll talk about that more next week, but we're going to have to jump off here now because we're already 10 minutes over time. So what do you need to do from here? Well, tomorrow you can check out the GarageBand Weekly Show, and I got a bit of a treat for you. I'll be jumping back into the Mac, and we'll be doing some GarageBand Mac-related stuff because I haven't spent enough time in the Mac, and I'll be doing some more Mac stuff over on Patreon and also right here on the channel over the next month. So if you are keen to see me jump back onto the Mac as opposed to GarageBand on the iPhone or the iPad, this is your time to shine. You'll see Pete struggle through because I am far from a proficient Mac GarageBand user, that's for sure. So do check out GarageBand Weekly tomorrow, same time, which will be at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and 7 a.m. for folks on the east coast of Australia. I am looking at some time changes. I'll keep you up to date, and then there'll probably be some polls on the channel asking for your thoughts on what time these shows should be, just to balance it out, because I'm very conscious that for our UK friends, there are no shows here on the channel that aren't super late at night. So I'm looking to move one of the shows, potentially this one, to be at a better time for folks in the UK, Europe, and Asia, because you do kind of miss out. My poor buddy Ron, it's the middle of the night there. Ron Ward can never catch a live show because he's over there in Ho Chi Minh City, and it's like 4 a.m. every time I'm live. So we will be trying a few things out like that. That's going to do it for this one. Please, as we say at the end of every show, wipe your feet on the way out and hit the thumbs up for starters. But also, please, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and keep creating, folks. I'll see you real soon. Bye.